Anyway, I remember when I brought that car home, it was in the evening, and he comes up and he knocks on my door, and I go to the door, and he says, yeah, I noticed you got a new car. I said, yeah. He said, well, that's not much of a family car, is it?
Wow.
And I said, my family fits. That makes it a family car. And I said, good night, and I closed the door. See, he was
Wow.
such a creep.
He
Oh my
was a
God, he was
creep.
such
I
a
remember
creep.
that
I'm like,
guy. Oh,
hello.
hello.
Welcome back to Grandma's Not
Not
Right.
right. Not right.
Because Grandma's not right. Nope.
Grandma's
Okay.
tired.
Grandma's tired.
Grandma wants to tell me to get off her lawn right now.
Grandma Wendy's had a rough week.
Just, it's
Boju's
really
had a
not.
rough week.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it was terrible, just too much. It's just when you have too much.
Too much at once. Yeah.
Yeah, too much stuff. It doesn't even have to be bad stuff. It's just too much stuff.
Too much stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what's the one thing that really topped it off for you?
Like bad? Well, I tend to get mouthy in certain situations.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so Friday is our early release day. Our the county class gets out at 12:25 on Fridays.
Right.
And the school we're at, their district, they get out at well, normally they get out at 2:05 or something like that, and we get out at 1:55. Anyway, so it was but it was minimum day for them too, which is very rare that we both have them at the same time. So our buses start to get there like 15 minutes before we get out. So their school was getting out at I think 12:10, and we were getting out at 12:25, and it was a cluster total. And I normally can't, I have to go pick up my granddaughter, so but I was there this time because I didn't have to pick her up because it's minimum day. And I go out there, and someone had moved our cones, and their parents are all parked on the curb, and our buses are, going to be coming in, and principal doesn't like us. She doesn't like me, I'm sure.
Right.
So I go to pick up the cones, and she kind of gives me a look, and I'm like, she goes, do you have buses coming in? I go, yeah. You've got more buses coming in. Oh, well, I think if we just let our parents just go real fast, just get them out of the way. I'm like, I said, no, I have a parent right there that's trying to get in now to pick up their kid. And he's not able to get in. So I'm going to stand here. Something to that effect, I said. And she just walked away. And I'm like, bring it on. Somebody come up. I want someone from the county to come up and go, hey, I heard there was word. It's like, I'm going to tell you, there was a parent. What do you want me to do? Not let our parent pick up their disabled child? Anyway, so it was just stuff like that. And then again, the principal comes up, well, I think that's the last of our buses, so you shouldn't need your cones. Because she's like just so irritated that we're putting these cones out. But and parents were moving our cones out of the way so they could park. So what I got really upset, and this is what I said. The one parent that I let in, he gets out. There was a guy that was like askew, so he was sticking out of the other lane for other parents to go in buses. He thought this guy was going to pull up, but I stopped so that he could get in, and he was stuck. And you could tell he was pissed that somebody stopped. And he looked like he was going to get his feathers ruffled until he saw the man's kid coming up in a wheelchair, and he couldn't say shit. And I could not resist in front of everybody, the parents, teachers. I look at the father, and I go, man, I want to see someone say something to a disabled kid's father. Bring it on. I'm ready for it. And he just laughs, the dad. He goes, I know all these able-bodied kids walking around, and their parents are doing this. And I said, exactly. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I shouldn't have probably done that. That's why they don't encourage me to do the cones.
It's just, first of all, the school pickup and drop off is a nightmare. No matter what the age,
yeah.
For every school, it's a nightmare. Didn't used to be that when we were kids. I don't know what's changed, but it sure is a nightmare.
You
For
know
all
why?
4 of mine, it was a nightmare.
Well, I know for Ukaipa exactly because they took the buses away.
Took the buses away. That was number one.
They
Yeah.
built a school.
It,
They built schools with buses. There are no schools in our district, to my knowledge, except for maybe Chapmanites or what's that, Sika or whatever. I don't know if they were there before the bus cut off or they were built after, but I know that all of our old schools were built with buses in mind, not kids' parents coming up.
right.
And I'm sorry, the cars are bigger. Like you have a small penis truck, like like to bag on your small penis truck. But no, but there's a ton of those in our town. Oh my God. Speaking of which, there's someone who has a bigger truck than yours. Every day when I pick up Amelia and we cross over to the community park, that person starting to either pull into the school drive, and there's like a long line almost all the way to Sunny
Right.
Slope, or not, I mean down Sunny Slope to
Hmm.
Oakland Road, right? Has like one of those ridiculous horns, like a train horn or whatever it is, and
Right.
honks it. And I always say something again because I'm petty and a bitch, and I don't. I say every time it happens, I jump when I'm holding Amelia's hand. I go, "Oh my gosh, those people are ridiculous. They don't need to honk." I go, "Look how big that truck is. You think your kid doesn't see that you pulled up in that big truck?" And I always say it out loud for everybody to hear. Again, I want someone to say something to me because I'm always pissed off anyway. So just waiting for somebody to say something, either
You're
to
such a
agree or disagree.
right. Because you're such a shit stirrer.
I'm a shit stirrer. You know what's funny? The girls at work, you're so nice, you're nice. I go, but you have seen me, right? Say things. You know that I'm not that nice. They're like,
That's
you're
right.
nice where it counts, Miss Wendy. You're nice where it counts.
Right.
Okay, thank you. But yeah,
Uh,
so that one I would say was the worst. That happened yesterday, and then I had a doctor appointment by phone, and then I had to get my granddaughter, and then I was supposed to go to the body shop to have them look over our bumper that got smashed, and then I finally asked Jesse, I go, dude, can you just do it? Because I don't want to, I know I'm going to get down there. Maybe it'll take 15 minutes. What if it takes 30? And then I'm going to be like this, having to come back to get my video call for the doctor, which, by the way, excuse me, the video, and I understand this. I understand doctors have to see people, but I don't even think she was at an office. It looked like she was at her house.
mm,
I don't know. I don't want to judge, but the appointment was, they said, get on there at 2:05. I get on there and go through the process of the person checking me in. Waited after that until like 2:45
mm.
for a video call.
Wow.
So this was better than coming in. But I don't know. I don't want to judge. What if she has a kid like you have? Like, what if she, seriously
Who
though, I
knows?
got to
Yeah.
remember those things. I don't know what her situation is. What if she has a Jason at home and she's trying to get to the video call, but that kid wants his Diet Coke or to take a bath or to have private time or whatever it is.
You
No,
never
but
know.
seriously, I am trying to be better about that. Not be, and I don't. When she gets on and I go, I'm fucking waiting for 40 minutes. Like, I don't do that shit. I only do that to people who do it to me first and who are
Or
assholes.
if they're nasty to you, then yeah,
That's right.
I get it.
Anywho, how about you, sis?
I really nothing unusual. A normal week. Trying to think. There was something I was going to tell you about. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I mean, funny things like I was getting ready to take Jace to his program, and I come out from doing my hair, and this has happened before, and he's brewing himself a cup of coffee
Oh,
in my mug that I had left on the counter.
yeah.
But, when he does that, it's hot. So it's like, dude, if you want coffee, it's fine. But you've got to remember that you've got to get a cup that's bigger and put some ice in it, because otherwise it's going to be hot and the way he just gulps stuff, he'll burn himself. He won't be careful. And I said, so it's going to be a little bit warm. You need to be careful. So put a little ice in it. And he picks it up like this and he goes, and sipped it just like, it was like, oh my God.
Oh, he's so
Just like-
adorable.
It is adorable. Sometimes he
You
does
know-
so many funny things.
Well, we had Autism Month, whatever, but it is kind of funny that as much as everybody gets pissed off at the whole Rain Man movie because they're not all that way, and it's like, but Jason really is.
Jason
Like
kind
when
of
he,
is like
yeah, like when he burned he burned the toast to the movie. That would be Jason.
right.
Like my daughter was 6 when she was going to cook fries and put them in the microwave on 79 minutes, and I hear the smell
Oh
smoke, and
no.
I'm like, what the hell? And she was
Right.
probably like Amelia's age or younger, and I'm like, what? What are you doing? I wanted some fries. I go, 79 minutes? That's, I don't know
And
how
that's
long they had
why,
been on, but
like one of his uh what do you call them, social workers or whatever that come
yeah.
around, the county people, they asked, so do you let him like cook his own meals and stuff? And I said, well, he needs supervision. So, oh, he doesn't know how to work the microwave? I said, yeah, he knows how to work the microwave, but he doesn't know how to read directions, the instructions. I said, so I have to supervise him, otherwise he'll set it for the wrong time, or he won't know that it's hot when he gets it out. He needs total supervision. And yes, I'm teaching him these things, but it's not like he can instantly understand every time he does something that,
Right.
it's like with the coffee. He knows how to make himself iced coffee. He knows the right cup to use. He knows to fill it to this much with ice. He knows how to do that. But if you take that away and you give him a coffee cup, everything's different now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened the other day. Because he sees me just fill my coffee cup. So he thinks, oh, well, Mom's coffee cup's there. I'm just going
Yeah.
to make myself some
And
coffee.
but he didn't want hot coffee. He made it clear
No,
that
he
he
wanted
knows
his iced coffee.
he does. Okay.
But, so there's,
Yeah.
he's not able to generalize things in a
Yeah.
way that helps him to understand, oh, this is going to be hot unless you put ice in it, because it's a different cup and it's, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Let me ask
So-
though, real quick. I know we're not on. This isn't our thing we're talking about, but still, do you feel when those county type people ask you that shit? Is that you already said it? You're teaching him, and that's what's going to be my thing. Like, well, obviously, you're fucking teaching him, but do you feel like they're making you feel like he doesn't know how? Like, do they give you an attitude like that?
I think sometimes it's just innocent ignorance.
Okay. Okay.
Especially if it's a
forgive
young
that then.
person. And in a
Okay.
couple of cases, they were young people, and
Mhm.
even if they did have children, they couldn't have had older children. I mean, they were young.
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of just innocent ignorance. They don't get fully trained in every disability.
Well,
to
that's
become
just it. And
who they
to
are.
them, well, and to so many people, like if you meet a kid that we knew, Nick or a Kevin, if that's your experience, or I went to high school with a kid who had autism, and maybe they're on the spectrum, like that Abby girl from the TV show or something, you're
Right.
like, they would know how to use a microwave. It'd be easy to teach them. I think sometimes that happens too, not just with young
They assume
people,
those things, yeah.
but people that are not experienced in the
Right.
autism world, where we're more like, I know more people like Jason than I ever probably did people who are higher on the spectrum. I've seen more kids and people like Jason that they're going to need supervision.
Yeah, and even if they can read the instructions and they can carry it out, they're not necessarily equipped for quick judgment in problem-solving
Troubleshooting.
skills. So,
Troubleshooting,
for
yeah,
example, with Jace, he took a different kind of glass cup because all the ones he normally uses were in the dishwasher. So he pulled out a different kind. Well, it's it has a little bit less volume than the others.
Mm-hmm.
So he put his ice in, but he filled the ice almost to the top. I didn't know this. He just said, "Can I make a coffee drink?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead, make one." And I usually kind of go in and I check on him a little bit, but I could hear what he was doing, and I assumed, he was doing it the same way he always does. So then all of a sudden he leans in and looks at me in the living room and he goes, "Help, help." And I'm like, "Uh-oh." And I go in there and it was overflowing.
Oh.
The coffee was overflowing. And he's just looking at me like, "What do I do? What do I do?" And I said, "It's okay, bud. No problem." I said, "Here, we'll just get a towel." And then I said, "Give me your straw." And I drank a bunch out of it. And I said, "See, you need space so you can put your cream in." I said, "You just put too much ice in, that's all." So I had to explain to him what he did. And then another time, it got too full, and then he put his cream in, and then went to spray the whipped cream on, and it's all just falling out over the glass because he had put too much ice in. So,
jeez.
he wouldn't know. Those are the things he would not
Yeah.
intuitively know.
He doesn't
So
know how to
he's
clean it
got to
up
be
either.
trained over and over and over and over, and he's got to see how to clean it up if it happens, and so there's a long process to this. They don't automatically think about all of these, how to solve these things,
Yeah. Well, and again,
Anyway.
I know this isn't about that, but just on that note, just for your peace of mind, we we have kids, autistic or not. Literally, the teacher and I just look at each other and we kind of laugh because I literally go over with something with one of the kids, and one day they have it, and the next day they don't. And so I
Mhm.
kind of behind their back, I nicknamed them 7 Second Tom from 50 First Dates, where he goes, "Hi, I'm Tom." Every 7 seconds,
Right.
"Hi, I'm Tom," because this one girl, she knows money. I thought, well, she knows her money. And I told the teacher, I was so excited. I said, she doesn't know her colors, but she knows her money. Okay. Then the next day, didn't know the money. And the teacher came over. I said, check this out. I said, I guess yesterday it was either a weird coincidence. I don't know what happened. She knew every piece of coin. And she
Yeah.
looked at me and said, yeah, this is what I've been dealing with because this is a new student that she had. Well, it was her student. She brought her over here. Anyway, it was just funny. It's like, even
And
then.
that's how Jace is. I mean, some days he'll be able to like spell things, no problem, looking at his letters. Other days he can't. And I watched one video where a neurologist explained. He said it's like, how we have days where we're frustrated, and maybe one day we could, if you're in school or whatever, one day you can look at an assignment, take a test, easy, no problem.
Yeah.
Another day, you sit there staring at the page, your brain is confused, you're distracted, and you can't get it done. He said, well, that's times 10 with kids with neuro issues.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
it depends on what he's eating, how he's feeling, what's distracting him. Is there a weird noise? Is there a weird smell? Any of those things can throw him off,
Yeah.
So, and that makes it harder for their brain to recall what they learned because they're so busy trying to shut out the thing that's bothering them. So,
Right,
it's
right.
interesting.
Yeah, it is. But I know that's not what our subject matter is, so I probably should cut that off and not say another word
No.
about it.
But it's okay. I mean, I'll tell you though, all the way on Friday, all the way to Ukaipa, it was first before we went to lunch because we were going to go to In-N-Out on the way.
Oh, okay.
French fries, yes. French fries, yes. Dr. Pepper, yes. And I'm like, how many times have I told you we're going to lunch? And you've told me what you want, and you're going to get what you wanted for lunch. And then 5 minutes later, French fries, yes. I'm like, dude. And it's like constant, right? So I'm trying to navigate the and then it's rubbing the arm. Rubbing my arm, poking my face, the whole bit.
Oh, dick.
And then laughing because he thought it was so fucking funny. So, and then after we go there, then it's like, stop at the gas station. Stop at the gas station. And I'm like, yes, we're going to meet your dad at the gas station. Diet Coke. I said, you just had a Dr. Pepper. It's just like, this is our daily deal. And he'll finish his Coke on the way home from his program because I always let him stop and get his Diet Coke
Right.
at the gas station, right, on the way home. And then he'll finish it halfway home because it's like a 35 to 40-minute drive to and from his program. Anyway, but he'll finish it halfway home, and then he'll look at me, and he'll keep staring at me, and then I say, what? What's up, buddy? What do you want? And he whispers, coffee drink. And I'm like, Jace, you just had a Diet Coke. We're in the car. And so the other day I'm like, we're in the car. You have to wait till we get home. I can't get you a coffee drink right now. You can't. How are you going to get a coffee drink? And he sits there for a minute, and then a few minutes later he's like, coffee drink, yes. I said, go ahead, make one. Wendy, this is what he does. I said, go ahead and make one. He opens his lunchbox. He takes out the plastic cup that I put in his lunchbox, And he holds it and he stops and he's thinking. I said,
No.
buddy, you can't make a coffee drink in the car. Where's the ice? And he's like, help, please. I'm like, Jace, there's no ice in the car. You have to wait till we get home. I was trying to get him to think, right, about it. And
Did you
then
feel
I felt
like an asshole
so
after
bad. I felt so bad at me. Like, just put your cup back in there, sweetie. We'll be home in a minute and you can get your coffee drink. It's just like, oh, man.
Cheryl, Chase, Cheryl backfired that one. Poor Chase.
Wow.
Hey,
poor kid. He's like,
I gotta tell
I got my cup.
that's diabolical,
God.
Cheryl. Poor guy. You know what though? I gotta tell you, I always imitate him at work. They're like, man, we gotta meet this guy. You do the funniest imitations, and I'm like, no, you should hear his mom because she knows him, and the imitations are even better. So really, you should break our conversations up. I know. Look at me telling you what to do. Hey, or send me the clips and I'll do it, whatever. But if we break these up into little story vignettes to put as shorts, and I'd love to send them to my teacher, like you talking about Jason and your little. But yeah, my because one coworker's not on Instagram or TikTok, so I got to send her YouTube videos anyway. But yeah, anyway, so I just. Oh my gosh, so good.
Anyway.
All right.
Anyway, on to, well, speaking of riding in cars, how you like that one?
Nice segue.
I'm
Nice.
trying. So viewers, yes, thank you for joining us. Sorry for this long intro. We'll try to shorten these from now on.
That's okay.
We have a few of you who don't like these long intros. You're like, get to the meat. Okay, here's the meat. Today we're going to talk about all of the vehicles that we've driven. Now, some that we've owned, some that we haven't. And then I'll just tell stories about a few maybe here and there that weren't necessarily mine. And hopefully it won't go too long, but I have pictures of mine. Wendy didn't get a chance to get pictures of hers, but that's okay.
I just didn't do it.
It's okay. So now, do you want to do all of yours first, or you want to switch off, or what do you want to do?
I don't know.
Want me to start?
I feel like talking about our cars growing up in the family first, and
all right,
and then we should talk about I think our brother's cars because I got a story about our brother's cars, and then yeah we can I think we could switch off maybe. I guess you should talk about your cars, and then we could just go back and forth by year if you want, whatever you think.
That'll work. All right, so let me pull up. I have this ready to go.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's see. How can I get this? Why is this not? I want it to open.
Dang you, technology.
All right. I don't want to tag it. I want to open it. Let me go back. I think because I was in edit mode, that's probably why. Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm going to open this up and then I'll share my screen, okay?
Alrighty.
All right. So okay. So,
Yeah.
yes. The Chevy van.
I gotta look close because I see the white, but it seems like this one just doesn't have as much white on the windows, but I can see it a little bit.
I couldn't find a good picture of our family van. I mean, I have one, but it was small and I couldn't. The only one I had was the one that's pulling our little travel trailer.
Yeah.
So, but this is the style. This is basically 3 on the column, the van we drove, right?
We could take up a whole hour just talking about this car right here. It's going to be hard not to talk about all the things about this car.
All right, so then we both drove this. I mean, I think, didn't you drive this? Did you ever drive the van?
I never drove that because as you recall, it did get into an accident, but I thought we got it fixed. But didn't Dad trade that in for his El Camino? I mean, his Ranchero?
I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm trying to get myself. I'm not on here.
I see you, but yeah.
There we are. Okay.
Okay.
There we are. All right. So let me go here. All right. There we go. So then this was the original color of Dad's truck.
My favorite color. Too bad that they painted it that mustard
Yeah.
grossness.
And you drove that one too, right?
I did. That was the first. Well, the first car I drove actually technically was your car when I was way too young. But then, yeah, I learned mostly on that 55 Ford pickup of Dad's. Yeah.
That four on the floor with the big giant pizza steering wheel
Now,
manual.
wait, are we going to talk about the van, though? We've got a lot of van
Oh,
stories. Or
yeah,
we
let
just
me
gonna
go
talk
back.
about all of
Sorry.
them? Sorry.
All right. No, that's
I
okay.
just-
All right, so back to the Chevy van. We went on vacation in this thing when Dad first bought it. When they first bought it, it had nothing, no insulation. It was all metal inside. No insulation.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, there was no insulation in it. No, it was all metal. It was a stripped down totally.
Okay.
So Dad, he took plywood and he made a floor with indoor-outdoor carpet.
Oh, I remember. It was green, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then he bought a cover to cover the engine hatch. That
What?
was like
Really?
a vinyl cover to cover the engine hatch.
Well, I remember that. I just didn't know that he did that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we went somewhere with a bunch of us in the van, and that thing was so hot we had to remember not to touch it because when the van would be moving, that engine hatch would get super hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so he also put like insulation in, I think, and then he ended up installing that little air conditioner on the top on the roof.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
we
that's
had,
what we
on the back, the windows open with those. We talked about this before. Those silver
things that
snappy buckles
like,
that'll pinch your fucking fingers off.
Yeah, they clasp.
Like a suitcase. They close like a suitcase.
Right?
Oh, yeah. And then, so it had two bench seats and then the passenger and driver.
Right.
And then we've talked about this before in the podcast. Number one, my mom would take they were those old-fashioned folding chairs where the seat popped up and then the legs would fold in. They were metal chairs and from a card table, and we'd have them facing each other like this in the back seat so that they were so close your knees almost touched facing each other.
Right.
That's that last window in the back there. Then the second window, and then the first side window, or beyond the passenger, and oh my gosh, I'll tell you one memory I have is because when you opened the doors, I don't know, was it a double door or was it just a single door?
It was just a single door. Oh no, it had a latch you could open double.
I felt like it slid open like a VW bus, but maybe not.
Not this van. My van did. Not this one.
But I remember when you opened the door, there was a black step that would pop out.
Yeah, you can see it in the picture down there.
Yeah, it would pop out. And I remember clearly when I had fallen out of that tree at Girl Scout camp, and they took me to the wrong hospital, to Loma Linda, and they were going to transfer me. They didn't transfer me by ambulance, or I'm getting the story mixed up when I left the hospital. Maybe this is it. I remember whoever took me out to the parking lot in the van, I could not step my leg up to the step because it just hurt so bad. I guess my broken rib or my bruised kidney, whatever the reason. I just remember the guy picking me up by the seat of my pants and placing me on that black step. Just little stupid things like that. But that's one memory I have. And then I remember the JCs had a casino night and Dad had the crap tables, and we were all laughing because we were talking about, ooh, the crap tables are in the back of the van, and our mom got all irritated that we were saying crap.
Right.
The crap tables.
Yeah, I remember they took the back seat out so that we could sleep in the back on family vacations, on the whatever. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. A lot of memories in that van.
Okay, let me just talk about the one bad memory, and then we'll move on. The only bad memory.
Okay, go ahead. What's the bad memory?
Yeah, and again, we've talked about this at one point on the podcast, but Dad was driving on California Street where before it was the Beaver Clinic, I don't know, I think it was just a field there. It wasn't the Beaver Clinic, where California Street going northbound, it starts to curve around down towards the horse arena. You're coming from Avenue H down that road. And there was a guy with a horse. The horse was black and he was dressed in all dark, whatever. It was at night and Ukaipa we didn't have street lights. We barely had street lights.
Yeah.
And so Dad hit the horse and killed it. And I remember because when I woke up, there was the van, just like you see it there. And right there on the passenger side was a perfect round indentation, like a giant metal ball had hit the van, and it was a perfect like inner dome shape with blood spurts all over. And I'm like, what happened? And I think at the time, Mom was like, just never mind. But then eventually I heard the story. But my mom was mad, or our mom was mad because the insurance company settled, and they were trying to say, the guy was dressed all in black, the horse was black, it was at night. And the sad part was the guy was bringing it to a girl for her birthday. It was a birthday present.
Very sad.
Our dad killed somebody's birthday present.
Sadder still, that whole week at work, because I worked at Del Taco.
Yeah.
That whole week at work, all of my friends would come in, Alan's friends, people who knew Dad. Oh, your dad's the horse killer.
Really? Oh, dude. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's terrible.
It is terrible.
I guess it traumatized you a lot more than it traumatized me, but
okay. So, yeah. Anyway, all right. Moving on.
Moving on.
This was my beloved. I love this truck, and ever since I've been a fan of these trucks. And that's what it looked like when Dad first bought it, although it was faded. But I mean, it was that color.
Yeah, like a baby blue. I think it was called powder blue or baby blue, or
yeah, something like that. Powder blue, I think. And then later he painted it. He had it painted like a beige.
I don't think he did.
Color.
I think our brother painted it that color. I'm pretty sure. Remember, he painted your Dodge Colt, and then him and his friends painted the truck, and it looked like shit. Oh. He'll never see this.
Anyway, that was a fun thing to drive. Yeah. It was so much fun.
I have stories about that too. Do you have stories about that truck?
Not necessarily. I think the only one I have is just when Dad one time was the first time I think I drove it. He was watching me pull out because it was parked up really tight against the it was parked tight against the van in the little side part of the driveway.
Yeah.
And there's that brick wall.
Right.
And I was trying to maneuver it through that tiny driveway we had. And the front bumper kind of, scraped just a little bit on that brick wall, and he just shook his head and went in the house. It made me I was like, oh man.
Wow.
He never said anything. He just shook his head and went in the house.
Like, such disappointment.
Great.
Well,
fail.
There may have been more to that head shake anyway, but I have so many stories. I know you'd have the same observation, but the steering wheel was, like a bus steering wheel. It was huge, and and it had like 2 feet of play in it. So
right,
and then it was like the 4 on the floor. You had to push it. You had to push down on the stick and then go to the right and down for reverse and all that, or up. I don't know, it was up or down. I think your Colt, I remember, was down and to the left. They were also different, but
yeah.
I laugh because one of the best stories, which, you think you're so clever doing shit back in the day when no one's going to see because you think everybody's at work. No one's going to tell your parents, which I think I got away with this. I don't think anybody ever told. My friend and I don't know if we were in her car. Yeah, I think we were in her car. She had her license. I didn't have my license. We took her car to my house for something, and she ran out of gas, and we were on lunch break from school. And you know how far we lived from Ukaipa High School, so it was, easily, back in the day, it was a 10-minute drive because there were no big traffic signals and traffic on the boulevard. So I'd say it was a good 10-minute drive to Ukaipa High School. So we get to my house, she runs out of gas, and we're like, what the we're going to do? And I go, well, my dad's truck starts with any key. You put a key in there and turn it, and it's got a push-button start. And she said, well, I'll drive it. I said, no, it's my dad's truck. I don't want you to get in trouble if something happens to it, so I'll drive it. So we get in the truck with a gas can. We go to that, it's now Valero, but whatever's on the corner of California and Wildwood
Right.
Canyon. So we go to the gas station and fill up a gas tank. So I don't know how to drive a stick very well. I'm like, because she's trying to tell me how to drive. It's only like maybe 4 or 5 blocks away. And so we get the gas and come back and park it. And no one's the wiser because literally any key would start that truck. You just put the key in
Right.
the keyhole and turn it and push the button. But yeah, I remember that. And then the one other story I remember is just laying in the back of it because it had the wood planks on the bottom and then the metal little strips every other,
Right.
adjoining. And I would
Right.
lay like coming back from my aunt's house. I think it was like probably Christmas or Thanksgiving, something where we were leaving that area by Tippecanoe and Mountain View area in Redlands, driving from there to the freeway back to Ukaipa. And I would ask if I could lay in the back of the truck and look at the stars. Sure, no problem on the freeway in the 70s with a 11 or 12-year-old child in your truck on the freeway. No problem at all.
Funny.
So those are my biggest memories I remember from that truck.
Yeah, there were a lot of good ones. I'm
Can I
having a
also
coughing fit, so hold on.
All right. Well, can I also
Sorry.
point out? Can I also point out
Yeah.
that our father, when he lived in Lake Havasu, from 1983 till I think 89, 9, I don't know, whenever they left before they left Havasu to move to Tucson, he sold that truck and we were all upset about it. And he said, "That's why I sold the truck." He knew all of us kids wanted that truck so
Yeah.
bad that he sold it so that none of us would squabble over it. We wouldn't have gotten to a big fight. I think he just knew that each of us had a story and each
Right.
of us would tell him individually how much we loved that truck. So he probably was just like, "Yeah, I'm just going to sell that truck."
Yeah. Yeah.
That was wise, actually. But
He's pretty wise in that respect. All right, so let's see what's next. Oh, yes.
oh my God.
My famous Rambler, a Ford Rambler, looked just like that.
Wait. Was
Exactly.
that yours or the family's, though?
That was mine.
Oh, your first car.
Dad gave me that to drive. Somebody couldn't pay their bill or something, I think, at this gas station.
Wow.
So Dad gave me that, when I first got my license. So that was my very first car. I would love to have that car right now.
Yeah, that car was badass.
That is a cool car. So I think it's
What
so
did you
cool.
think about it at the time, though? Did you think it was cool, or were you like,
I didn't care. I don't remember. I remember just being excited to have something to drive.
Right, that's
It didn't
what I thought.
bother me. And the back seat laid down like a bed.
Oh my gosh. Later on, I'll talk about my Rambler that did the same thing in the future.
But yeah, that was a
Wow.
cool car. And again, of course, 3 on the column. So every car I drove for forever was a stick shift. Let's see.
Wait a minute. Let me ask. So,
And-
did that Rambler? Did it have? So it was on the column, but you still
Yeah.
had a clutch then, right?
Well, yeah, it's still
Yeah.
a clutch.
It's just the shift was on the column and not on the floor.
Right,
I see
right.
it.
Same with the van. Same,
Yeah.
And then there was this car was my Ford Falcon, and it was the same, a shift on the column.
I remember that. Yep.
Yep. And that one I enjoyed. I drove that one up until the famous. Whoops. Let me shrink this down. Famous Dodge Colt. Now, this isn't-
74 Dodge Colt.
Yeah, this isn't my Dodge Colt, but
No.
it's mine was a root beer brown after our brothers painted it, but it did have like little mags and it had leaf springs. It was kind of jacked up, so it had like beefed up with leaf springs in the back.
It was
I wish I
jacked up.
had a picture.
And I have stories about that when I drove it, about it being jacked up in particular. We'll talk
Let's-
about.
Yeah, let's talk about your stories before we move on.
Oh, well, no,
No, because
first of all,
I really liked that car, and I remember Dad had to fix so many of our cars because of me speed shifting and trying to
Wait.
chirp the tires on all of our cars. And I could get that van to chirp. I
Yeah.
could get my little Dodge Colt to chirp. I never did try it on Dad's truck because I was afraid.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I got a couple stories about that Dodge Colt.
Yeah. All right.
First of all, I remember when you lost your shifting knob, you replaced it with one of your star-shaped baton ends,
Oh, I forgot about that. I
which
did.
was way cooler in my opinion as a
It
kid.
was
I'm
so
like, that's
cool, huh?
it was like a star-shaped tip on the end of the baton, and I just always thought that was cool. I gotta tell the story when you had a little bit of a temper, and
Me?
I oh yeah, let's talk about this story. Okay, so I know I was in gymnastics at the time, so it was somewhere between third grade and sixth grade because I stopped doing gymnastics at Redlands Gymnastics Center by the summer of my sixth grade year. So I couldn't have been somewhere between 8 and 10. You picked me and my friend Sandy up from gymnastics, and I think you had a friend with you. I don't know who it was, but you had a friend in the front seat. Me and Sandy are in the back, and we just went to like Del Taco or somewhere in Redlands to get food. We've got the drinks and the food in the back seat. You're gonna take us home and all that. So you're in Redlands, like on the Redlands Boulevard, and these girls pull up beside you, and they look at you and they go, "Your car's a piece of shit," to you,
Yeah.
and they took off. You're like, "Oh hell no!" Wait. And all I remember is I was crying, and my friend was like, "Get over yourself." I was like, oh my God, we're crying. The drinks, we're trying not to spill the drinks. They have lids on and stuff, but we're like, ah. And then I swear it ended when where Soffel's Tree Farm used to be over on the corner of Crafton Avenue, where Crafton Avenue runs into it's Crafton.
I don't think.
Fort, it's
I think it
Crafton
was
through
up
the
in
Orange
Sunset.
Groves, and where Crafton that goes to Crafton Hills. I don't know what that street turns into. It's from Fifth or Highland or whatever.
No, I think it was. I think we were up Sunset.
I don't know, but see, that's in my mind what I remember. But so probably, but that's just what my mind as a kid went to. But yeah, you're probably right. It was Sunset, and then I just remember you pull up and their dad comes out and he's like, blah, 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 and you just hightailed it out of there. It's like, oh
I
shit,
remember
dude,
that.
God,
I thought I was such a badass.
you were a badass,
But at
Cheryl.
the time, Redlands was it was such a rivalry that, you know,
We were the Hicks.
we
They
were
were
the
the
Hicks,
Richards.
and they always would tease us. If we wore our Letterman jacket to
Oh
Redlands,
yeah,
you're just asking for trouble, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So yeah.
So and then you also let me drive it in the church, the Catholic church parking lot there on California
Oh
Street.
yeah, that's
You,
how you started learning to drive, huh?
yeah, but remember, you had that car. Well, I guess you did have it up until because I bought it from you when I turned 16. Or I
Yeah.
should say, Mom bought it. Mom bought it from you. But yeah, I know that you had that, but I swear I remember you letting me drive it when I was way too young, like
Probably.
12 or something crazy. It was crazy. It was so,
I
and we're in the
remember taking
parking
you
lot.
in the parking lot to drive. I remember that, but I don't
But that
remember what
helped.
car it was. So,
Anyway,
all
those are
right.
the only
So,
stories I could think of that when you had it. Oh, also, sorry,
yes, that's okay.
also, the best part, which I just happened to tell Amelia this last week, because we won't get into it, but somebody in her life let her watch Stranger Things
Mm.
about 6 months ago, which all the way up to the last season where like basically a kid kills an adult with a rock in their head and blood spurting, and somebody let her watch that. We won't talk about that because what an a-hole. But anyway, so she loves that song because I don't know if you're familiar with the show, but
Kate Bush.
Kate
Oh yeah.
Bush's song. So I told her the other day, I go, I first heard that song when I was with Aunt Cheryl in one of her cars. She had a tape of it. I didn't explain to her what the 8-track tape was
Eight
of
track.
Kate Bush running up that hill. I learned
Yep.
Kate Bush in there. I learned Pat Benatar. I learned Jethro Tull, Queen, the Cars.
Cars.
Oh my gosh, you had all the good tapes in that
Kansas.
car, and I just remember just driving with you and being like, all we're just so into the music, and those were such good times, such
I
good
know,
memories.
right? Yep. Those were the days. Well, there's other better days, other fun days. All right, so
Yes.
you remember this one, right?
Yeah, Dad had that Ranchero. It was a '78, I believe, Ranchero.
A 79, I think, but it
Okay.
and his had a shell, but I couldn't find a picture of
Oh,
his. This is the only one
oh,
similar
but
that I had.
wait, sis, before he had a shell,
Yeah.
before he had a shell, he had what was popular at the time. It was a mesh material to put on your back window with a picture, and his was like a galaxy of planets on the back of
Oh yeah,
his.
yeah, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yes, I'll never forget that because I was so amazed that it just looked like you could see out the window in the back and it was mesh. But when you turn around on the outside, it was a picture and you couldn't see in the window. And as a kid, I just
Right.
thought that was,
That was really cool. I remember we went all the way to Uncle Jimmy and Aunt Wanda's out in um, Arizona,
yeah.
out in uh, can't think of the
Benson,
name.
Arizona. Benson.
Benson. Yeah,
By
that
the
was a
way,
long drive, and I was 3 months pregnant,
yep.
and we half of us in the back, and I think you were up front.
No, no, no. This is what, well, on the way back, but what happened was I flew there and stayed for like a month at their
Oh,
place for the
that's
summer.
right.
And then you and your first husband and mom and dad came. I don't know if Dave was there,
I
but
think he
I don't,
was
I
with
think it was
us.
just you guys. And then I drove home with you guys. Yeah.
Yep, lots of interest, and I drove that a few times when mine was broken down.
Yeah.
So that
Can
was
I,
probably, yeah.
let
Did
me
you ever
say
drive
too,
that?
well, I don't remember, I don't think I ever drove it, but our brother, we have two brothers. So the brother that's close in age to me, he's 4 years older than me, and he's very neurotic, very, well, I should say at the time. I'm not saying he's that way now. It's just at the time.
Hmm.
Our brothers were mechanics, just like our dad. But this brother
Hmm.
was very meticulous about his car, which I don't blame him. He paid for it. He was clean. He was a clean dude, and he was very together, not like the rest of us. He was very together. So he had I want to say his was a '72 Ranchero. I'm not sure what
Oh,
year it
that's right. He
was.
did have one. It was brown, right?
It was brown, and I remember he would pay me. Okay, this is in 19. He would have been driving before me, so he was already driving in like '81. He
Yeah.
would pay me then in 1981 $20 to wash his ranchero.
Wow.
I
Wow.
remember that, and I did a good job. I know I was, ugh, I don't, I did everything. And then one time he let me drive it, and I was scared as shit because I drove it in the biggest thing in town to say you've made it in driving was to drive through the Del Taco drive-through in Yucaipa.
Without scraping the wall.
Oh, because that wall was so close, man.
Oh, it
That
was
was like a
so
big
hard.
deal.
Right? I drove Dad's truck through there, so I'm pretty proud
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. Dave had one too. That's cool though. We were a Ford
Yeah.
family for sure. We had
We had
Fords.
a lot
Yeah,
of, yeah, that's true.
because
We did.
we had the Ford, the '55 Ford. He had the
We had a lot
Ford.
of Fords and Chevys.
Yes,
My Dodge Colt was probably the only thing out of the
the only
mix.
oddball that Dad allowed.
Let's see. Oh, let me pull this back. Oh, wait, let's talk about you. What was your first car then? I don't know if I have the Mercury in here. I just realized that. I don't think I
No,
have
no, no, no.
mom's.
My first car was your Dodge Colt.
Oh, okay. But I mean, but what other cars did you drive before you left home?
Okay, well this is how it went. First of all, the first car was the Dodge Colt
Yeah.
because once I think the Dodge Colt went kaput, then when our parents had split, they had that Mercury Marquis. It was a
Right.
'71 white giant Ford Mercury Marquis that nobody wanted in the divorce settlement, so they let me drive it.
Right.
I had to have something to drive while, okay, well, what happened was I had your Dodge Colt that mom bought from you. And what's funny about that is I barely knew how to drive a stick, right? And so we bought it. I want to say when we bought it, it was at your first husband's parents' house up there in the Sunset area
Yeah.
of
Redlands.
Redlands. Okay. And they're like, okay, you have to drive it home. Can you drive it home? And I'm like, yeah, I had never been on the freeway with that car, a stick shift, because in driving school, I don't think we had stick shift,
Yeah.
but I knew how to drive a stick shift. I learned on dad's car or truck. So I had to drive that thing only from Ford Street to
The
Ukaipa
Merc?
exit. But that was like a fucking lifetime to drive.
Wait,
And then, huh?
the Merc didn't have a manual transmission.
I'm talking about your Colt. I
Oh,
drove
you
it
drove
from
my Colt. I thought you said you were driving the Mercury. Okay,
No,
never mind.
my
Okay.
first car was your Dodge Colt, but the
So you
reason
had
I
to
ended up
drive it home when they went. Okay, gotcha.
so yeah, because whoever, mom or dad, whoever
Yeah.
they had their car, and I had to drive it home. And that Colt, I got stuck on Katsung Hill there at 7th Street,
Oh,
always behind the fucking school bus, and everyone would be laughing because I'd stall almost every time on that damn hill.
you just couldn't get that friction right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it would happen like even on California Street turning onto the boulevard in the morning. Anyway, the thing was I had that car, and I'm going to tell you one of the stories on the hairpin. Anyone who's from Ukaipa knows what the hairpin is back in the 80s. So I would go down the hairpin because right at the top, right before you go down the hairpin, you could literally back into like where there was a dirt access road. There was like a guard or fence. And it was foggy one morning, and I picked up somebody to go to school. We got donuts, and probably they had a joint or something. I'm not saying I'm proud of this. They were probably smoking cigarettes, joints, whatever it was. We backed in to that hairpin in the fog, and then we could see everybody who was going down the hairpin after that, because it would go through to the high school. Avenue E didn't go all the way through like it does now to Oakland
Right.
Road, so that was a field. So we would park back there. That was one memory I have. The other memory I have of that Dodge Colt is because somebody put big fat tires in the back and it was jacked up. And I would start taking my friends to school, and there was some big dudes I had in the back. And every time we would go down Avenue E when there was no stop signs hardly at all, and you'd hit like the bumps, the dips on
Yeah.
3rd Street and 4th Street, and every time it would come down, you'd hear this, and that was scraping. The wheel well was scraping on the big fat tires.
Ah.
So at one point, the tires got inspected from somebody, my brother or whoever. There was like a 2-inch gap of wear on the tire, deep from that wheel well just catching the tire and ruining
Wow.
the tire. So that was that. But the problem was, once I was a junior in high school. I did not check the water and the oil like I was told, and I cracked the block because my boyfriend at the time put cold water in the hot
Oh boy.
radiator. And then we had it at the Ukaipa High School auto shop for most of my senior year, and mom was pissed because yes, we were getting a great deal on the auto shop doing it, but they had it for almost the whole year, and that's how I got the Mercury Marquis.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a
Gotcha.
long story.
Sorry. So, okay, so while you were home driving the Mercury Marquis, I had gotten married,
Yep,
and I'd given you the Colt,
yep.
and this was my first husband's car, that we had as a family car together. His uncle had passed, and he inherited this car. I think that's the story. I don't
Wasn't
remember,
it a
but anyway,
68?
it's a 68, and beautiful, fun car. Oh my gosh, that was such a fun car.
Can I say, uh, now again, this is a memory that popped in my head. I may be
Yeah.
wrong, but because isn't he like 6'4"? He's 6 something.
6'2".
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought he was taller. Okay. But I swear we used to joke that we called him like Magnum PI because he was super tall and went beyond the roof, and and it's red like Magnum PI's car. I swear we used to call him Magnum PI because
I don't
he was
remember.
so tall, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a few stories, but I'm not gonna stop
No,
to tell them.
some
But
stories we don't need to tell. That's true.
no, we don't.
That was a cool
Um,
ass car though.
and then we also had this one, a
Oh my
'75
God.
Camaro,
I remember that.
and I drove this one.
I have a story about that car.
And this one was a on the 3 speed on the floor.
I remember that, yes.
So
Did you had your first child already by then, right? No?
yes, I did. In fact, I think I had that car even up until. Did I have? Yeah, even up until I had Lauren, I think we had that
Okay.
car. So yeah, my first two kids, that's the car that I drove. And I remember that at one point something went bad on it to where I I learned, and I don't remember who taught me this, but I learned how to take this huge screwdriver, and when it got hot, I would have to jump the
I remember that.
the solenoid to
Yeah.
the starter or whatever. I
Yeah.
can't think of how it went, and to get it to start.
Yeah.
So there were
That's
many,
the
many
shit we
times.
learned.
Yeah, there were many times that I was the kids in the car and I've got the hood up and I'm having to start it that way. I had so many cars that had those issues. I think even that red Camaro had that issue, and I think I
Uh,
ended up having to start that one the same way.
yeah, I've got plenty of those kind of stories. We may have to have a part two because we're not even halfway done.
I
Hey,
know. Huh.
this is I know this is a shitty, sad thing to say, but I swear I remember. You can cut this if you want. I won't. It won't hurt my feelings, but I swear it was that car that we were in the Del Taco drive-through. It would have been the fall of like 81. I don't know, maybe because your daughter would have been 6 months old-ish. But I just remember because our parents had just split. And again, this is a memory in my own head that you were bitching about it, being upset. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm losing my family and all this. And I'm like, I was mad. I'm like, you're out of the house. You don't know what it's been like. I'm glad they're split up. It was getting ridiculous, you know, that kind of thing. In my mind, I swear we were in Del Taco drive-through in that car.
I don't
And again,
remember.
that's what I'm saying. Like, you know how memories get mixed up and you probably pepper in your own thing. But every time I see that car, that's my memory. Like, we were in Del
Wow.
Taco drive-through and I was crying,
Wow.
saying, "You don't understand what it's like." You know, we're
Well,
so
screw
dramatic. You
that
and I
one.
were very dramatic.
We were. And that was my next one, the S10 Blazer. And nothing exciting about that. I had it for a long time.
I have a story about that car too.
You do. What, what,
Because it was my fault.
oh, what's
You
that?
don't remember?
No?
Okay, me, you, and Ross went to a gymnastics something or other convention. And on the way home, I didn't take off the parking brake of that car.
Oh,
Because, listen, I'm not going to say it's not my fault.
I don't remember that, but
It was a foot brake, and I wasn't used to, like, it was a newer car, and you said, why don't you drive? And I didn't notice it until we got off a freeway off ramp somewhere. Again, my memory could be fucking wrong. I remember going, oh shit, this brake is on. And I
I
pulled the
don't
little
think,
lever.
yeah, I don't
And
think
Mark
it did
was,
anything.
your first husband was pissed because, and I think you took the blame for it. You're like, I did it. And I'm like, no, I did it. Don't tell him that. Don't get in trouble.
I don't
But yeah,
remember.
that's what I remember.
I remember. So at that time, once you were done with the Colt and the Marquis, what was the next car you got?
Oh, um, okay, so the cold was in so long, whatever. Okay, because I was going to be going to RCC the summer of '85, so I went to stay with Dad, and at that point, Dad was working for a dealership in Lake Havasu, Arizona, called Sun Country Motors.
Yes.
I think that may not be true. He may have still been working for the gas station there. They were called the Red Shirt Gang. I don't remember why, but they worked for it. So he may not have been with Sun Country. But all I remember is we were in Havasu. I was in Havasu visiting Dad, and Mom wanted Dad to help me get a new car or a car. And in Arizona, it was a Dodge. It was a 1977 Dodge Aspen, and it
All
was,
right.
I'll never forget, the sticker price was like $1,988. 1900, and it was a 77, so it was, not it was less than 10
Pretty.
years old, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so Mom wired money. I remember us getting the money from somewhere like at a Western Union. She wired the money to Dad, and it was like a down payment, and then no, she paid for it all, and then I had to pay payments on it, $200
Right.
a month back to her. And
Right.
um so what happened with that car is I had that car from the summer of 85 to the summer of 86. In the spring of 87, I made the last payment to Mom of $200. I owned my car outright, and shortly after that, I was coming home from we had just had a track meet like somewhere out in the, like, I don't know, Orange County area, and I went to visit my first, well, he was my boyfriend at the time, soon to be my first husband. I had my track uniform that said Riverside on it, and I had a cooler there because I had my juice and all the stuff I needed for the day. So I had a cooler. I started falling asleep. I used to fall asleep all the time, but I fell asleep. And then I said, I'm going to pull over into the Loma Linda Medical Office's parking lot, take a nap. And then I thought, instead of going the freeway, it's safer to take Brookside, Barton Road that turns into Brookside. That wasn't safer because at the freeway I would have had 4 lanes of bumps to help me guide. But no, I chose the smallest lane possible. I fell asleep and hit a parked car, and then I went up on a palm tree like this, whoop, and my
Oh,
car was
jeez.
like this on a palm
I
tree.
remember that.
Yeah. So that car was totaled, and then I could talk about the car after that later. But yeah, that happened, and that's another. I I don't know. We don't have time, but that was a weird experience because the lady that came out, I thought I was sitting there up high on the palm tree thing. My music the stereo was separate from the car, so the car was turned off, but the stereo was still blazing. I'm out of it. And I never wore a seatbelt back in the day, but that was the one night I thought maybe I'll put a seatbelt on, and I had a bruise, of course, all the way here.
Yeah.
And the cop that came, I'll never forget because it was like a 1980s crazy movie where he had the cigarette detective cigarette. And he goes,
Oh
"Man,
boy.
if you hadn't had that seatbelt on, you probably wouldn't have made it," that kind of thing. And they were checking me, "Are you on drugs?" I go, "No, I'm scared to shit." They go, "Why are your eyes dilated?" I said, "I fell asleep and landed on a palm tree. That's why my eyes are dilated." But I couldn't find my wallet because it got shoved up under the console. I couldn't find my wallet. "Why do you have a cooler?" And they're like, "There's nothing in there. I was at a track meet. I got a fucking track uniform on." But the craziest part of that is before anybody showed up, I laid on the horn because I didn't know what to do. I was like 19, 20 at the time, whatever. And I see this person hobbling through, and I'm like, "Oh my God, my mind is so fucked up. I can't even know." Somebody's hobbling down the sidewalk. Like I thought my vision was impaired. Turned out it was a lady with cerebral palsy coming up to my car.
Oh,
And she had a fucking computer. This is 1987. She had a
wow.
little handheld computer that could talk. That was in
Oh, wow.
87. And she kept motioning to me. And I'm like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And then I go into her apartment there on Brookside. And then I call Mom. And Mom's all, "Why are you calling me?" I go, "Because I got in an accident." She goes, "Call 911." Like, you idiot. She didn't say idiot. But anyway, so that was my. And then for a year or later, after I got whatever cars I had, I took a picture of the damage, and and I hung it from it was like a little, I just took it on construction paper and put the picture on. And anyone who rode in my car had to wear seatbelts, and I'd always point to the picture. They're like, "I don't want to wear a seatbelt." I
Very
go,
good.
"Wear your seat." This is in the 80s when that was a real
Yeah.
hot back in the day. Anyway, sorry, but that was my tangent story there.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Blazer, um, both Lauren, I think we got that before Lauren was born because I remember Mark was worried about me messing up the seat when my water broke. Um, yeah. He said, I gotta get some towels. I don't want you messing up the seat in the new car.
Oh well.
Anyway, it's fine.
Your
And he was
first
right. He
no,
was
your
right.
first
It was
date.
hilarious.
Your first date, you splashed water on his mags and he got upset.
Oh yeah, he got mad because I splashed a little bit of water on his chrome mags. Anyway, so yeah, so you had your Aspen, and then what did you drive after that?
Well, once the car got wrecked and I had paid it off and everything. At that time, I think mom had a friend at work, a nurse friend. It was a guy. He happened to have a 1968 Dodge Rambler station wagon, and it was like a greenish copper. I don't even know how to explain it. It was like a coppery color, faded. And you talked about your Rambler, how the seats would fold down in the front and back to make it like a bed. My first husband, but again, we were just boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. When we were at RCC, we went to the Rose Parade in that thing. The ignition was hanging down by wires, and you had to start it by holding the ignition.
Oh
And
boy.
then at some point, the carburetor messed up, and our dear brother showed me how to do it. You had to take the lid off the carburetor, and then you had, or well, what do you call it? The air filter thing,
Air
right?
filter,
You
yeah.
take that off, the lid off to start the car. You had to take that off. I had to take a stick, like I had just like a random stick, and put it in the carburetor to keep it open. Go back, start the car with the ignition hanging down by the wire. So I'm holding on to the ignition that's
Yeah.
hanging, and I'm starting it.
Yeah.
And then go back, take the stick out, put the pan lid back down for and then that's how I had to start my car. So I had to really think about where I was going to go and what I was going to do. So I had that car until finally we'll talk about the next car, that mother helped me get my first brand new car I ever got off of a lot.
Uh, yeah, I think I realized my first automatic was that Chevy Blazer, and then this van, the Dodge Caravan, was the family car after that. You remember that one?
I do. Is that the one you got through Tupperware?
No, the Tupperware one was green.
Oh.
And then when I left Tupperware, I traded in. We traded the Blazer in for the red van because I liked the van so much. But then when I left Tupperware, I couldn't keep the van.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Is this van you traded in during your second marriage?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I got confused because I saw the van. I'm like, wow, the Tupperware van. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I had the Blazer up
Okay.
until, yeah, I had the Blazer when in my second marriage, I still had the Blazer.
Okay.
And then I had the Tupperware van and then ended up trading the Blazer in for the red van.
Okay, you had another red van. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's why I got confused. But
The
yeah,
Tupperware van was green, but it was the same
Dude.
exact van.
I don't even remember you having a van before the Tupperware van. I don't remember
I
that.
didn't. I didn't. I had the Blazer, and then when I was in Tupperware, I earned the
okay.
executive van, and it was green.
I don't remember the green van, dude. I swear I don't remember the green van. That's so weird.
Yeah, that was the Tupperware one, and then when I left Tupperware,
Oh,
we
man.
liked that van so much that we traded the Blazer in for the red van. So,
How many years did you have that red van?
until we lived in the Terry Way house, I had it until I bought. That's what I traded for the Eclipse.
Oh yeah.
So, that's my next story.
Okay.
So, do you have a story in between that time you want to tell?
Oh my God, probably. I've got.
Do
Okay,
you have?
so after the '68 Rambler, and that was a sore subject because according to our mother, we got rid of the Rambler. I don't know if it was a trade-in or whatever, and he apparently told her you can keep it until you don't need it, and then I want it back. But he never. She's like, I don't remember that. So he was mad at her, I guess, that she got rid
Oh,
of it. But anyway, I was working at, that was 1987. I was working at Hot Dog and a Stick, and I think I was working still for RCC, working in the cafeteria. Excuse me. And I was working at the YMCA. So I was making pretty good money. And mother said, I will put in $500 towards the down payment. And I put in $500 toward the down payment of a 1987 Ford Festiva, which Miguel, my first husband, lovingly referred to as it looks like a skate.
escape.
The way
Yeah,
it looked like it was the
I
shape
can
of a
see
skate.
that. Right.
And I was so proud of that, because it was like I think it was like $5,000 brand new car. Oh my God,
Yeah.
$5,000. And it had no air, no anything. It was just basic. I don't remember if it was a stick shift or automatic, but I do know we brought my first child home in that car in June, no air conditioning, and then we went to Santa Barbara with that car and all that. The problem was with that Ford Festiva is that before I got married, because I got it spring of 1987, she
Yeah.
specifically told me not to let anybody else drive it, which
Uh-oh.
included my boyfriend at the time, to which he actually dropped me off at the Y in San Bernardino and then left to go wherever, and some lady T-boned him. It was not his fault, but he was driving, and I got in big trouble. So they fixed the car, and then I got the car back. Then, we got, I got pregnant in the fall of 88, and then we got married in the spring of 89. So by then, of course, the car is both of our property.
Right.
So he's driving the car again. The car had probably been paid off by that point. And then was drinking coolers in the parking lot where he worked at the time. And there were cops coming, but they panicked and thought they were coming for them. He gets in the car and starts driving away and drives over some super big, not cement, but asphalt curbs, and blew out the right front and left rear tires and tweaked the whole undercarriage.
Oh
And
no.
that time they totaled the little Ford Festiva. So I
Oh
was shit
no.
out of luck. So we took the insurance money or whatever happened. I just remember we got I think it was a 1989 or 90, whatever it was a Ford, not a Ford, it was a Ford Pony. It was a little
Okay.
white Ford Pony. And to be honest, I only have vague memories of that for a little while. Maybe when we split up, he took that. And then I have another car after that I'll tell you about. But let's go on to you, and then we'll
All
revisit that.
right. Well, there's not much to tell about this van other than a lot of family vacations and a lot of time. The only thing that's exciting about this van is when I um, my second marriage blew up and I moved out. I had that van, and I had, you and I would go everywhere. We had all our kids.
Oh,
Um,
can I
yeah.
say, anybody who remembers or has watched our past videos, we talked about sticking French fries in the vents for my
Yes.
autistic nephew, his Shawarais. That was the one that we did the most. And
Yes.
we had 6 kids between the two of us. So she had, at the time, 2 teenage daughters, and then we both had our daughters that were the same age. Your third daughter and my daughter were similar in age, and then my son and your son. And we would take those 6 kids many times. Mostly, though, it would be the girls and maybe Mikey. I don't know, Jason might have been. But for the most part, we'd go to competitions in that van. We
Yeah.
went to amusement parks. We went to Las Vegas a couple times in that van with those kids. Like,
Yeah.
we'd pick them up from school. So our day, that van represents to me a lot of our gymnastics life and our
Yeah.
kid life, because I'd hang out with you during the day, and
Yeah.
then we would go pick up your kids from the middle school, my kids from the elementary school, and then
Yeah.
one kid from the high school or whatever. And so that van was like the taxi, the gym mobile. It was everything that red van was.
Yes, it was. Lots of memories there. So I once, like, my first two were out of the house, and I decided, I don't really need this big van anymore. So I traded it in for this.
Yes.
Can you see it?
And what do you think I hear, Cheryl? What do you think I hear as soon as I saw that car?
Well, should I tell the story? Oh,
Yes.
midlife crisis is what you hear, right?
No. I literally mean I'm gonna sing it. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Doon 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 doon. The Matrix.
The Matrix soundtrack.
It's called, and I'm gonna tell you why I know this. It's called Spy Break by the Propeller Heads.
Yep.
And it's from the Matrix during the fighting scene. And it just came on the other day on my random list, and I told Amelia all about it. I go, this is one of my favorite songs, and she's just looking at me like, okay. I'm like, you'll never know what this song means to me.
I know. All the soundtracks. There was a soundtrack to that eclipse, right?
It was.
It was so much fun, and I wish I had an actual picture of it. I don't know why I don't. That's just a picture off the internet. But that was that was probably the funnest car. I like my truck, but that was the funnest car I've ever had. That was such a fun car.
It was so, wait a minute.
And I traded,
wait a minute. Yeah, you traded the van in for that, I know. But told me somebody.
I have a story.
Yeah, tell me the story, okay? I want to hear the story.
Well, I had moved into this tiny house in Yucaipa with my kids, and like I said, my older two were moving out. And the guy that I rented the house from, he lived in a smaller house behind this house. So he's the owner. And he lived in a tiny house, probably, I want to say not more than maybe 15 feet or so behind my house, right? So he could hear all our conversations. It was so creepy. Anyway, I remember when I brought that car home, it was in the evening, and he comes up and he knocks on my door, and I go to the door, and he says, I noticed you got a new car. I said, yeah. He said, well, that's not much of a family car, is it?
Wow.
And I said, my family fits. That makes it a family car. And I said, good night, and I closed the door.
Wow.
He was such a creep. Oh, my God, he was such a creep.
I remember that guy.
Like, number one, how is it your business what I do? Period. And number two, what difference does it make what my car... It was just one of those moments where I just was like...
I had forgotten about that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. On camera, maybe we'll talk about... There's so many memories about that. But that was the Avenue C house, right?
Yes.
Okay. I remember, though, you told me that somehow it either got back to you, that some parent or somebody at the gym, when we had that gym on Amigos in Redlands, that somebody said something about the car in a similar fashion. I swear it was like,
I don't know.
Must be nice or something, like
as if I was rich. like wow, must be nice to have a car like that or something.
I think it was something like that.
It was used, and
and that van was worth a lot.
Yeah, it's just like, why do it was, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. We had some good times in that car, man. And
that was so much fun.
On the one hand,
awesome.
Yeah, on the one hand, because of certain circumstances, like you said, you have the teenage daughters, you have the younger kids, so it was a fit for you, and I will always defend you that at that time in your life, you needed that because you needed to feel good about yourself because you were shit on for some various reasons that we don't need to go into. But I mean, it was something you needed. But I just will always feel bad that I was the antagonist in that story that was like, yeah, Cheryl, let's do this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we went, that's the car we went to when we would go to the Rama Gardens in Redlands and get our
Oh, and
martinis, and
all
then
of our
go to the
dance
Falconer and
clubs.
get our beers, and then go to the Flamingo to
Yeah.
get our cinnamon shots, and then end up at Denny's
Well, we
for a
wouldn't
night of
we
clubbing.
wouldn't drive that car all those places. We
No,
parked
we
it and
walked. That
walked
was the
all those
point.
places. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the point. Oh my
But,
gosh.
that was the one small window of time that I had where I had free time on my hands because the kids would be with their dad, and I'd have free time as an adult with no
Yeah.
obligations, and I was able to go out and have fun. So for that short period of time, that was like my midlife crisis, so to speak. I
Yeah,
was
because
I
you were
was
like
out
you were like almost
enjoying
40 or
life.
40. Yeah.
Yeah, it
You
was
had the
fun.
right. You had the
I did.
right.
Okay, so let's see. Moving on. What car did you drive next?
Uh, After the Festiva, the Rambler. Oh, so we after the Festiva got wrecked, again, my our mom bailed me out so much more than you. I was the lost child, the last child, the baby of the family, and ADHD, and couldn't save money to even help myself. Like, so after the Festiva wrecked, she of course tried to find out from everybody who has a car, and saved me from some doctor friend she knew had a 1976 Datsun B210, neon orange. So
I
anybody
remember
who's
that
from our
car.
age group, yeah, would know that. And the funny thing about that car is that it had AC. That car had air conditioning. And
Yeah.
so we already had our daughter. So, our daughter at least, in her little car seat could have air conditioning. And back then we had them in the front seat facing the opposite way or whatever. I don't
Right.
know. Um, but the thing about that thing I remember the most is the only thing was the hydraulics on the hatchback did not work. So I
Oh,
had this big giant, it's almost like the cardboard tubes that you get from like carpets, but
yeah.
it was about probably 3 feet long. I would put that thing and wedge it on the hatchback, and then I was somewhere trying to maneuver around, and I accidentally knocked the tube, and the whole metal hatchback
Oh,
clamped onto my back.
yikes.
And thank goodness I was in good shape. I think I was pregnant with my son at the time. It was like 1990. And I had to get that. No one's around. I'm in a parking lot. And I had to get that metal
Oh my
hatchback with
gosh.
no air shocks off my back. And then,
Ugh.
but that car did take us a lot of places. So that was a good car. I think I still had that car when I was dating or dating your current husband. No,
Speaking
I
of,
still have that car. Okay,
it,
that's the next story. But I see you got is that the Dodge Ram?
no, this is the
Oh.
Ranger that Mike was driving when we got together. A little,
Oh,
little
okay.
red Ford
You're
Ranger.
really jumping. Yeah, okay.
And then, yeah, because, I mean, and then Papa Dave gave us this, and so then we had two cars, or no, we had what? I'm trying to think of why we ended up with that car. I can't remember. Oh, I know. We traded the little. We got Mike a new truck for his business, a bigger truck,
Right, right,
and I traded the Eclipse in for his bigger truck.
right.
It was a Ford, uh, a Ford, just a Ford F-250.
Yeah, yeah, I do
And,
remember
and
that.
and so I started driving the little Ford Ranger. And
Right,
then
right.
Papa Dave gave us this, and so we sold the Ranger to one of Mike's workers because he
Okay.
needed a new vehicle. I don't
Okay,
even think
wait,
we
wait, wait.
sold it. I think Mike gave it to him actually.
Okay, wait.
Huh.
I just remember that we used to call this car the Gold Member because
Gold member. Yeah.
because
Gold finger.
that movie was popular at the time, and
Yeah.
we called it Gold Member.
Or gold finger.
Gold Member. Uh,
Anyway.
Wait a
So
minute. Before we go on, though, we got
yeah.
to, or whenever we got to talk about the joint effort of the Dodge Ram, but we can get to that.
Well, we can talk about that now because I
Oh,
think that's
okay.
kind of in between in that moment. So
Okay. So you don't have a picture of that though, right?
I don't.
Okay. So we had a red. It was a 1986, I believe. I
I
think
think
it was
so.
yeah. It was an 86 Dodge Ram pickup. It was red with the white stripe on the side,
Hmm.
and it had a cab, and it also had a carpet kit. And if no one
Yeah.
knows what a carpet kit is, it's where they made like bench seats that go over the wheel wells that would pop up that had storage in it. And it had red shag carpet covered it. It was
Yeah.
really badass
It
for
was
its
really
day. And it
cool.
was, yeah, it was really cool. But given that it was given, okay, so Cheryl bought this. I'm trying to use it delicately. Cheryl bought this with credit cards that she was like, I don't care if I use these credit cards because I am being I am not being treated well in my life at this time, and I'm going to use these credit cards to my advantage, and I'm buying this goddamn truck. And
Well,
here's
it
the
was to
rub.
pull our gymnastics trailer.
I know it was to
Oh,
pull the gymnastics trailer, but it was also convenient for my little sister Wendy to drive with her family.
oh,
So
that's
let me,
true.
I know. I have a shit ton of stories with this truck, so I don't know if we want to end it and start next
Yeah, we
time with
probably
this.
should have a part two
Okay,
because we're
part
already
two.
at 125.
Okay, because I've got a shit ton of stories with that truck alone.
All right. Well, we will pause it at this point then.
Okay.
Let me turn this part off here.
All right.
Stop sharing the screen. Okay. So yeah, and viewers, I don't know. Maybe this is all not interesting at all to you, but
But
we're
again,
sharing
this
our
is
life
for our
and our
children and
adventures.
our grandchildren
Yes. Well, um,
and anyone who wishes to enjoy it.
and we enjoy sharing our stories about our life because we feel like a lot of you, maybe you drove some of these vehicles, maybe you own some
Yeah.
of these, and maybe you can relate to how vehicles somehow represent different eras in your life. It's like there's always stories that go with those, and you
Oh,
see a
yeah.
certain vehicle and you're like, oh my gosh, I remember when I had that and what happened with this.
Good,
And
bad, or otherwise.
yeah, so we just
But you,
think it's fun to share these memories with
right.
you.
And
So
you know
we
what?
appreciate you hanging
Again,
in there.
well, that's the thing. Like, first of all, I know our mother watches these religiously, and I think your first, I don't know, one of your kids watches it religiously. So it's like, if they're getting something out of it, great. If it's something that's introspective, great. If it sparks up a conversation between you and your child or you and your mother or whatever, that's what
Right.
it's all about. So again, we're
Yes.
not doing this to make millions of dollars being the next big thing in podcasts. We're just doing
No.
this because we enjoy it. And if somebody happens to like it that we don't know, that's
Right.
that's even better. All the better.
Especially if it's helping you to reminisce about something in your life.
Right.
Because I had so much fun going through all these different vehicles, and then we're going to have a part two. So next week you're going to hear about the rest of
Maybe a
them.
part three.
And
There may be a part three.
I know I think part two will do it.
Okay.
Because
May have
some
to
of them
cut it.
really don't have many stories. They're just like, yeah, I drove this and I drove this. But there are stories about vehicles that I'm not necessarily going to show. Well, I might be able to come up with some more pictures of some of the things I drove that weren't mine, but that I'm blown away that I actually drove them. So we'll be talking about that. But
And we're not even getting into like motorcycles or anything else. It's
oh
just
gosh,
cars. Yeah.
yeah,
So hey, you know, because yeah, June is coming up next week, so we've got Pride
Father's Day.
Month, Father's Day, um, summer solstice. So we've got a jam-packed June coming up.
And
I have a
your
lot of opinions.
birthday.
My birthday month, my last year in my 50s. I know
Oh,
it's hard to believe that this space is only in its 50s. But
whatever.
anyway, so yeah, we've got a lot. We've got a lot to
Yes.
do in the next month.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this one. It's a little
Yes,
longer
thank
than
you.
usual, but
It's all
whatever.
right.
And we will catch you on the next one. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and
Share,
help us
share, share.
share our fun.
Yes, thank you.
And please comment. We would love to hear your
Yeah,
comments. Tell us
comment.
what was your favorite car that you grew up driving, or what was your favorite car that you ever owned.
Yes.
Leave some comments for us. Any memories you have that are about vehicles. It would be
Yes,
fun.
Mod Connie especially. I know you guys
Yes,
comment. You
and Miss
have
Speak
experiences.
and Miss Speak.
And
She's
Miss
got quite a
Speak.
few interesting stories, but
Yes.
yes.
Tell us your stories.
Yes. Miss Santian, if you have any
Woo,
stories, we'd
Miss
like to hear
Santiago.
yours. Yes.
All
Anyway,
right.
all right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we love you all. Mwah.
Mwah.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.